My name is Velkrin Thros, and I have served the Cathore Empire for 23 cycles as an intelligence officer. I have interrogated warriors from 17 different species. I have broken the will of Garnathi berserkers, extracted secrets from Melkorian spies, and watched the bravest soldiers of a dozen worlds beg for mercy. But I had never met a human before that day. The prisoner was brought into detention block 7 at approximately 1400 hours, station time. Two of our largest guards, both Kragoth heavy worlders standing nearly 3 meters tall, dragged him through the doorway. His hands were bound behind his back with military-grade restraints. His face was already bruised, one eye swollen half shut, and there was dried blood crusted around his nose and mouth. He was smiling. Not a grimace, not a defiant sneer, but an actual smile, like someone had just told him a moderately amusing joke. Escalation? I asked, checking my datapad. Marcus Webb, the human said, his voice rough but steady. Sergeant, Terran Colonial Marines, service number Summer 73942 Echo. And before you ask, yeah, I know the Geneva Conventions don't technically apply in deep space, but I figured I'd mention them anyway. You know, for old time's sake. I stared at him. The Kragoth guard stared at him. Even Specialist Morin, our medical observer, tilted her head in what I recognized as confusion. You find something amusing, human? I asked. Oh, plenty, Marcus Webb said. For starters, you guys really need to work on your interior decorating. I mean, gray walls, dim lighting, that weird humming sound that's probably supposed to be ominous. It's very, evil empire chic, very vintage. I appreciate the commitment to the aesthetic. I signaled the guards. One of them, a brute named Karvesh, slammed his fist into the human's stomach. It was not a gentle blow. I have seen that same strike rupture internal organs in smaller species. Marcus Webb doubled over, coughing. The guards hauled him upright and shoved him into the interrogation chair, a metal frame designed to be maximally uncomfortable. His breathing was labored, but when he looked up at me, that smile was still there. Okay, he wheezed. Okay, that one was pretty good. Really felt that in my pancreas. Or maybe my spleen. I'm not great with internal organ geography. Where are the human fleet positions? I asked, keeping my voice level. You know what's funny? Marcus said, ignoring my question entirely. You guys kidnapped me from a supply depot. A supply depot. I literally just count boxes for a living. I'm not even combat infantry anymore. I got reassigned after I injured my knee in a training accident, so if you're expecting me to know fleet positions, you've really screwed the pooch on this one. Screwed the pooch, Morin repeated, her translator struggling with the idiom. It's an expression, Marcus explained helpfully. Means you messed up, made a mistake, really dropped the ball, which, now that I think about it, is another idiom that probably doesn't translate. This is going to be a long day for all of us, isn't it? Karvesh hit him again, this time across the face. I heard something crack, probably a tooth. Blood sprayed from the human's mouth and spattered on the floor. Marcus Webb spat out a molar, watched it bounce across the metal grating, and then looked back at me. You know what I was doing when you guys grabbed me? He asked. I was having lunch. A really good sandwich too. Turkey, Swiss cheese, this amazing garlic aioli that our cook makes from scratch. I had maybe 3 bites left. 3 bites, and then you guys crashed through the ceiling like some kind of discount action movie villains and ruined my whole afternoon. The fleet positions, I repeated. I genuinely don't know them, Marcus said. But even if I did, do you really think beating me up is going to make me tell you? Like, has that ever actually worked? Has anyone in the history of interrogations ever been like, oh, you punched me, well now I definitely want to help you out? I gestured to Karvesh again. This time the beating was more systematic. 3 blows to the ribs, 2 to the face, 1 to the kidney. The sound of impact echoed through the chamber. I saw blood running down the human's chin, dripping onto his torn uniform, and then I heard something that made my blood run cold. Laughter. Quiet at first, just a chuckle. Then louder, building into full, genuine laughter. Marcus Webb was laughing. His shoulders shook with it. Blood bubbled at the corners of his mouth. What is wrong with you? Morin asked, her voice tight with something that might have been fear. What's wrong with me? Marcus repeated, still laughing. What's wrong with you guys? You kidnapped the wrong person. You're asking me questions I can't answer. And your whole torture technique is just, I'm hitting you now. I'm hitting you again. Oh no. Another hit. It's like you learned interrogation from a children's cartoon. Karvesh roared, and delivered a massive blow to the human's chest. I heard ribs crack, Marcus Webb's head snapped back and he coughed violently, blood spraying from his mouth. He was still smiling when he looked back up. "Here's the thing," he said, his voice wet and ragged. "Here's the thing you guys don't understand about humans. We're really, really good at pain. Like unreasonably good at it. Do you know what we do for fun back on Earth? We climb mountain, not because we have to. Not because there's anything at the top, but just because they're there. We jump out of perfectly good aircraft for entertainment. We hit each other repeatedly in the face, and call it boxing. And people pay money to watch it happen." "You are insane," I said quietly. "Maybe," Marcus agreed. "Probably. But here's the fun part. You know what else humans do? We give birth without anesthesia. We break our own bones and keep fighting. We perform surgery on ourselves in survival situations. There's a documented case of a guy who cut off his own arm with a dull pocket knife because it was trapped under a boulder. Took him over an hour. He walked out of that canyon and drove himself to the hospital." He paused to spit out more blood. "So when you hit me, yeah, it hurts. It hurts a lot. But I'm a human, which means I'm biologically designed to keep going long past the point where any sensible species would quit. It's not courage. It's not bravery. It's just how we're built. We're apex persistence predators who evolved to chase things until they literally died from exhaustion. Pain is just what? Tuesday for us." Karvesh looked at me. I saw uncertainty in his eyes. This was not how interrogations were supposed to go. "You are lying," I said, "attempting to deceive us with false information about your species." "Am I?" Marcus asked. "Then why am I still conscious? Why am I still talking? You've broken my ribs. Probably ruptured something internal, definitely scrambled my brains a bit with that headshot, and I'm sitting here having a conversation with you about sandwich condiments and evolutionary biology. Does that seem normal to you?" It did not seem normal. Nothing about this seemed normal. "More pressure," I ordered. What followed was not interrogation. It was brutality. Karvesh and the other guard took turns. They were not gentle. They were not restrained. I watched bones break. I watched blood pool on the floor. I heard the wet, terrible sounds of internal damage. And through it all, Marcus Webb laughed. Sometimes it was just a chuckle. Sometimes it was a full booming laugh that echoed through the chamber. Once, after a particularly vicious series of blows, he actually told a joke. "A human, a cavalry and a Garnathi walk into a bar," he said through broken teeth. The bartender says, "What is this, some kind of joke?" And the human says, "No. But your interrogation technique is." The joke was not funny. The situation was not funny. But he laughed anyway. A horrible, bloody sound that made Morin take 3 steps back toward the door. "Stop," I finally said. "Stop hitting him." Karvesh stepped back, breathing hard. His fists were covered in the human's blood. Marcus Webb hung in the chair, held upright only by the restraints. His face was a ruin. Both eyes were swollen. His nose was clearly broken. Several teeth were missing. He was still smiling. "Here's the thing you should probably know," Marcus said, his words slurred but understandable. "Here's the really important thing. The reason I'm laughing? It's not because I'm crazy. Well, okay, maybe a little because I'm crazy. But mostly it's because you guys made a really, really big mistake." "What mistake?" I asked. "Despite myself. You took a human prisoner," Marcus said simply. "You specifically captured a member of the Terran Colonial Marines. And the thing about the Marines, we have a very strict policy. A very, very strict policy about leaving people behind." As if on cue, the station's alert sirens began to wail. Morin's communicator crackled to life. I heard screaming. Weapons fire. Someone shouting about hull breaches. "That's probably them now," Marcus said, conversationally. "Told you this was going to be a long day." The door to the interrogation chamber exploded inward. I threw myself to the floor as debris rained down. Through the smoke and chaos I saw figures moving. Human figures. They moved with a speed and precision that seemed impossible for beings in full combat armor. "Target acquired," one of them shouted. "Webb, you still alive?" "Define alive," Marcus called back. "Unconscious and talking if that counts." The human soldiers moved through the room like predators. Karvesh tried to fight. He was a Kragoth heavy worlder, trained in combat, armed and dangerous. The human soldier who engaged him was half his size. The fight lasted exactly 4 seconds. I watched the human use Karvesh's own mass against him, redirecting his charge into a wall with what looked like minimal effort. Then came strikes to specific nerve clusters, a chokehold applied with clinical precision, and Karvesh was unconscious on the floor. Rule number 1, the human soldier said, not even breathing hard, never kidnap a Marine. Rule number 2, if you do kidnap a Marine, don't give us time to find him. Rule number 3, if we find him, pray you didn't hurt him, because that just makes us angry. Another soldier was cutting Marcus Webb's restraints. The moment he was free, Marcus stood up. He swayed, steadied himself, and then actually had the audacity to stretch, wincing as his broken ribs protested. "Thanks for the pickup, Lieutenant Davis," he said. "These guys really need to work on their hospitality." "You look like hell, Sergeant," the one called Davis replied. "You should see the other guy," Marcus said, glancing at the unconscious Karvesh. "Oh wait, you can, he's right there. I'd say we both got our licks in." "You didn't land a single hit," I said from the floor, my voice hollow. Marcus Webb looked down at me. That smile was still there, blood-stained and terrible. "Didn't have to," he said. "I just had to keep them busy long enough for the cavalry to arrive. That's the other thing about humans, by the way. We're really good at buying time, and we never ever leave our people behind." The human soldiers moved through the facility like a natural disaster. I learned later that they breached our station with a force of only 12 Marines. 12, against a facility staffed by over 200 personnel. They cut through our security like it was nothing. Our automated defenses designed to stop infantry assaults were bypassed or destroyed. Our guards, trained warriors from multiple heavy-gravity worlds, were systematically neutralized. Some were killed, most were simply incapacitated with a level of controlled violence that was somehow more terrifying than simple brutality. They knew exactly where to hit, exactly where to shoot. They moved with a coordination that suggested either hive mind intelligence or training so intensive it might as well be. And through it all, Marcus Webb walked with them, cracking jokes and occasionally pausing to lean against a wall when the pain got too intense. Once, I heard him tell one of his rescuers that he was mostly fine and that they should stop fussing like a bunch of mother hens. The Marine he was talking to responded by injecting him with some kind of medical compound and telling him to shut up and let the drugs work. "You guys are no fun," Marcus said. Then he noticed me watching from where I had been secured with the other prisoners. "Hey, Valkyrin, right? Sorry about all the blood on your floor, and the exploded door, and the general chaos. But, you know, you did kidnap me, so I feel like we're roughly even on the property damage front." I said nothing. What was there to say? The humans extracted Marcus Webb and departed within 20 minutes of their initial breach. They left behind a detailed list of the facility's security vulnerabilities and a message for our command structure. The message was simple: "Do not take our people. We will always come for them. Always." I was reassigned after the incident. My career in intelligence was effectively over, but that was not the worst part. The worst part was the nightmare. I still hear that laughter sometimes. That horrible blood-choked laughter echoing through the interrogation chamber. I see that smile, broken and bloody but never ever fading. We thought we understood warfare. We thought we understood determination and fighting spirit. We had seen brave warriors from a dozen species, but we had never encountered anything like humanity. They are not the strongest species. They are not the fastest. Their technology is comparable to ours, perhaps slightly inferior in some areas. But they have something we do not. Something we cannot quantify or measure. They have an absolute, unreasonable refusal to quit. They have a capacity for endurance that borders on the supernatural, and they have a loyalty to each other that transcends logic or rationality. You can break their bones, you can rupture their organs, you can beat them until they should, by any reasonable measure, be dead or unconscious, and they will laugh at you. I filed my report 3 days after the incident. I was thorough. I included every detail, every observation, every terrible moment of that interrogation. I concluded with a recommendation that surprised even me. "It is my professional opinion," I wrote, "that humanity should be classified as a Class 7 threat species. Not because of their technology or their numbers, but because of their psychology. They are individually dangerous, and collectively unstoppable. Any conflict with humanity should be avoided at all costs." My superiors thought I was exaggerating. They thought I had been traumatized by the experience and was overreacting. They filed my report and moved on. 3 months later, the Cavalry Empire declared war on the Terran Colonial Alliance. It was supposed to be a quick conflict. We outnumbered them. We had better ships. We had the element of surprise. The war lasted 6 weeks. It ended when human Marines assaulted our high command facility on Kethros Prime and captured our entire military leadership in a single night operation. The humans suffered exactly 12 casualties in the entire campaign. We suffered over 300,000. The peace treaty was signed in the same interrogation chamber where I had questioned Marcus Webb. The humans insisted on the location. They said it was symbolic. I was required to attend as a witness. I stood in that chamber and watched our high command surrender unconditionally, and as I stood there, I noticed something scratched into the metal wall near the interrogation chair. Words, carved with something sharp. Probably a piece of broken tooth. Webb was here. The sandwich was worth it. I think about Marcus Webb sometimes. I wonder if he recovered from his injuries. I wonder if he went back to counting supplies at that depot, or if he returned to combat duty. I wonder if he tells the story at bars, making his fellow Marines laugh with his description of the discount action movie villains who kidnapped him. Mostly though, I wonder if he understands what he did that day. He broke us. Not with violence, not with information, but with laughter. He looked at pain and fear and death and he laughed, and in doing so he showed us something terrifying about his species. Humans do not break. You can hurt them, you can torture them, you can do everything in your power to destroy them, and they will laugh at you, spit blood in your face and keep going. They will outlast you, outlive you, and ultimately defeat you, through sheer bloody-minded persistence. There is a saying among the intelligence services now, passed quietly between officers who have studied the human threat, a warning for anyone who might consider taking a human prisoner. They will laugh at you, and then they will come for you. I heard that laughter once. I heard it echo through an interrogation chamber while a broken, bleeding man smiled at his torturers. I heard it and I understood finally what humanity truly was. They are not the monsters under the bed. They are not the darkness in the void. They are something far more terrifying. They are the species that looks at the monsters, at the darkness, at the pain and the fear and the inevitability of death itself. And they laugh. And then they win. My name is Valkyrin Thras. I was an intelligence officer for the Cavalry Empire. I interrogated a human once. I will never make that mistake again.